All right, welcome everybody to We're Gonna Need a Bigger Windmill. This is gonna be our 2020 recap episode. If you're new to the show and you're uninitiated into our format, we started life as a holy moly recap show, and as you'll find out later today, we're gonna start expanding our horizons. But today, it's all about 2020. My name's Pat Sheridan. I'm the co-founder of the Putting Penguin, which is a mini golf course review website. I was a contestant on season 1 of Holy Moly, and I'm very involved in the world of competitive miniature golf, both from the World Mini Golf Sport Federation and also playing in United States Professional Miniature Golf Association tournaments. Team USA member right here, so pretty excited to talk mini golf at all times. And now I'll turn it over to my co-host, Mr. Tom Loftus.
Hello, my name is Tom Loftus. I go by the pseudonym Mr. T. My first name starts with a T, so I just kind of went with it. It's got a little bit of a golf pun. And along with my wife, I do a mini golf endeavor called A Couple of Putts. The two of us have been traveling and playing mini golf and documenting our adventures. And through that, we've started designing and consulting on courses around the world. You can find us at acoupleofputts.com. And we, meaning me, myself, and my wife, as A Couple of Putts, competed individually on season 1 of Holy Moly. And that's where myself and my co-host Pat first met and became fast friends. We had known of each other's mini golf work for a really long time. And that kind of experience playing on that level really put us more down the rabbit hole of the competitive world and got us much closer to Pat and all of them. So yeah, Couple of Putts.
All right, and A Couple Putts is where you can find all of our past episodes, all linked on there, YouTube, Putting Penguin, also on Facebook. So if you're interested in doing a deep dive of Holy Moly Season 2 before Season 3 comes out next year, which we'll talk a little bit about, you got some binging that you can go do. Not quite Disney Plus, but hey, if you like mini golf, we cover a lot of cool stuff. So to get our 2020 recap started, we're going to take a look back at what we looked at and saw as our top 5 mini golf moments from 2020, not from 2025. We aren't quite there yet. Hopefully there won't be a pandemic going by the time we get there.
Let's hope.
This is going to be an uplifting, as few pandemic references as we could possibly make today. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom. He's going to take us off with our first item on the list.
And if it wasn't obvious, we did a Holy Moly recap show every week. And so we're going to start off with Holy Moly. And this season we got 13 episodes. We got more episodes, and we started to get to see some additional friends like Aaron from O Street on those episodes. And through the 12 episodes, we got all sorts of winners, as you can see here on the screen. If you're watching the episode, they all got the green plaid jacket and those golden putters, but we only had one winner, and that was Tanner Beard. Tanner Beard won $250,000, the diamond encrusted putter. And he came out of season 2 in a new format with the big prize on a wild hole. You can go back and listen to our episodes. And if you're listening to this, and this is a spoiler, sorry, but go back and watch Holy Moly. It's on Hulu. It's on abc.com. We loved it. And we're going to mention a little bit more Holy Moly stuff that's going to be going on in the future. But I think that's been a big plus for us, is just Holy Moly continuing on. And as you can see in our We're Going to Need a Bigger Windmill episodes, I almost forgot to mention this, is we had a lot of guests. In addition to ourselves, we had the other halves of our mini golf endeavors with Robin and Mandy from A Couple of Putts and Putting Penguin. We had champs from last season. We had competitors this year. We even had Tanner Beard, who we showed earlier, who won the whole dang thing. And that was a lot of episodes and a lot of hours that if you need something to listen to this winter, you got it.
And a whole lot of fun, just like our number 2 on the list. So this year we were both introduced to a new indoor putting concept out of Australia called the Putt 18 mat. So as things started to lock down earlier in the year, it was still cold for us up north too. We were all looking for options to keep putting, and we had no idea how long things were going to last, and little did we know we were going to be here after so long. But hey, Putt 18 dropped in our laps. We started with a competition between us, the UK, Australia and New Zealand. That's turned into a league, and now the league is starting to take off. And so this is where we've been all playing on the same mat in our house doing virtual competition. So a really cool thing that came out of this year was trying to figure out how these ways of connecting, via the internet, Skype, all these different ways of doing things. And so, players would line up, they'd play a few rounds, we'd collect our scores, we'd get to watch other players around the world. And this is something that, it's a little pricey in that $150, $200 range. But if you've got a little bit of money that you want to spend and you're a big putting enthusiast, definitely check that out. Check out putt18.com.au. They're going to be doing a lot of new leagues and tournaments in the future. So this is something that's going to really fill that gap for people. Some of the formats were a little longer, but we did a Masters where you just played 4 rounds in about, half hour. And I could see that having 100 people in the future and doing stuff like that. So shout outs to that company, everybody who played in the league. It was really cool. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. But if you're looking for something to fill that putting space at home, Putt 18 is something we come across in 2020. So number 2 on our list.
It was a lot of fun, I got to tell you. And as you can see in our photo, this is like a little bit of a teaser. If you go back, you can watch Pat, Randy, and I at the end of the season being a little loopy from playing and competing. We did a 4-way shared screen of a little bit of an adaptation on the game that kind of gives you a sense of the imagination the game still has and creativity you can have with it. Kind of like we've all had to do in 2020, to be honest. And number 3 on our list was, you know what? Despite everything, tournaments still happen. You can see up here the O Street $1,000 tournament, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And even a tournament in our hometown. There were tournaments all over, up in Maine, across the country. The Masters happened. So tournaments still happen. And the nice thing that was to see, and we'd heard across the board from people is that people were A, showing up, and B, wearing masks. Heard from the O Street guys that they had taken part in the Biggie tournament, the Biggie tournament about a month ago, and they had 94 people show up. So not only did tournaments happen, but there was a really great turnout. And I think for us, that's a major highlight, that people not only were being safe and respectful, but they were interested in getting out, having fun, and playing mini golf. So that's actually like a pretty cool highlight for this year.
Yeah, I think the sport itself, I also even saw, like, locally, our local golf course had the most visitors they've ever had this year. So, the social distancing that you can have on both the golf and mini golf, or use masks, being outdoors for the most part, and even the ones that are indoors restricting. I mean, that's an industry, they found their way in 2020, and hopefully that's nothing but good. And speaking of stuff in 2020 in industry, we've also seen a ton more mini golf related things hit the market. There's been a handful of things out there, mostly from stuff like people like us who've been putting out our own goods for a little while, shirts, hats, t-shirts, and stuff. And you can see some of the things here. And Tom, over at A Couple Putts, you guys did a really awesome gift giving guide that kind of pulled a lot of these together across the internets. But just looking at some of the stuff here, I mean, O Street did ugly sweaters, for them, and then we got Tanner's hat as well, some of our own material, the Putt 18 again, but even stuff as we go into board games. So there was a Plax game, which is kind of a construct your own mini golf course for kids that go along. There's been some other renditions of this out here, but this one looks pretty cool, and I think we're both anxiously waiting our package that's been delayed due to various delivery things going on in the world. But the other cool one, especially for folks like us who are board gamers, is Mini Golf Designer came out. We both recently got ours, looking to dig into that. And really, as people who've been connected with this, I read through it and I was like, man, this game is building your own mini golf course, and they really put a lot of heart and soul into what that means. So if you're a gamer, I definitely go check that out. Go check out our guide here. But I think that's another thing where we're looking at saying, this industry is really starting to understand what else they can do. And like I said, I'd seen it the past few years as we start to see courses do t-shirts and hats and koozies and things like that. So looking forward to seeing what future years bring in this area, because you can never really have too much mini golf swag if you're a fan. So really enjoying what we have right now. So that's number 4 on our 2020 list.
And for those of you board game nerds and you need a point of reference, the Mini Golf Designer is like a tile laying game like Isle of Skye or Carcassonne. So if that is any way appealing to you, you're going to really like Minigolf Designer. You have to like create a full course and competing against other people that are trying to do it, and you're trying to make your clients happy. So it's a fun game, and I highly recommend it.
And it's got a single player mode. So
yeah, and I haven't even tried
that. And you don't got anybody who you're quarantining with, you can play by yourself.
And speaking of things that you can just take in by yourself, the Minigolf podcast kicked off, I believe, early in 2020, and it was Mark Chapman, Steve Lovell, and Philippa Rose, who all three are playing in the UK in Minigolf. Steve and Mark, super competitive, and then Mark's wife Philippa really adds a nice extra level to the podcast because she's competed, I think, in some Minigolf tournaments over there. Is that right, Pat? She's like,
I don't know if
here and there.
Has competed in anything officially.
See, and that's the thing. She has like, because her husband Mark Chapman is like a number of times over champion in mini golf in the UK, and a really great champion of the game, that she's gotten to know the game really well. But some of the nuances that are really inside baseball, she helps explain and talk through. So whether you're a novice and just learning about the competitive world of mini golf, or someone who's looking to kind of get an edge and wants to learn all the tips and tricks, at least audio wise, from a champion, Mini Golf podcast is really great. And it's super funny. Like there's episodes where like Steve Lovell, like based on the sound of a bounce and a visual description given via audio, describes a mini golf ball, which is sort of fascinating and bizarre. Steve is like a really, really sharp dude and talented putter that, that part, he nails it a lot of the time. And so that's worth going back and listening to. I hope they keep doing it this year. I know that we had talked about when we started our talk show of doing a joint episode, and I'm hoping that can happen in 2021. And that is our top 5. So there's a lot of great mini golf stuff that had happened this year. And we'd be remiss if we didn't jump into some of our own personal successes and excitements. And so I'm going to throw it over to Pat to start talking through the successes of 2020, because it wasn't all a dumpster fire, people.
No, it wasn't. And 2019 was a really good year for me, being on Holy Moly and stuff. And then we got into 2020, and I was actually excited how I finished. My probably biggest accomplishment came in August, where I won O Street's $1,000 mini golf tournament. So it was $500 for the top place. You can see I brought home some hardware there. By far the most successful I've ever been in a tournament. I set the ace record for the tournament, and I also set the course record in my first round. So hence the hardware. And I have to say, I was not expecting that this year, nor at a tournament that I showed up to the night before and played like 2 rounds on the course either. So very excited. And I give credit to, I don't think it was Aaron from O Street who took the picture. It might have been, but one of the O Street guys. I just love this picture of 2020, the mask, the colors. It's something. I think I made it my Facebook profile picture too. It's just I'm really proud of that. So that was exciting. And I do want to shout out to my co-penguin Mandy, who finished 2nd in the women's division and 7th overall in that tournament, which I also think were personal bests for her as well. So that was really cool to have an opportunity to do this year. So that was number 1 for me.
Was that at Tea Time?
No, that was at Go Fish in Avalon, New Jersey.
That's right. I was going to say, for some reason, I thought it was at Tea Time, and I'm just going to give a shout out to O Street that if you need a little bit of end of the year holiday fun, go check out their newest video, how the Grinch stole mini golf.
Yeah, I got to watch that. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's pretty good. It's those O Street guys. If you, I think on top of this tournament, I'd say also their videos have been just like a fun highlight, and we both made cameos at them this year.
Yep.
For me, I think my biggest highlight was I played a lot of mini golf this year. I played a ton. I did like a count. I've been kind of nerding out and keeping track of my scores and where we've played. And I guess I played somewhere over like 100 rounds, and some of them on some pretty unique courses. And I mean, in a year where we didn't really get to travel as a couple of putts to many new states and far-flung places like we had in 2019. I think we played like twice as many new courses last year, but this year we probably played as much fun mini golf outdoors while also being safe. And I think that was like a real win. So for me, my number one was just being able to play a lot of new mini golf courses and having experiences that were exceptional. Some before the pandemic and right at the beginning of it out in California, and others throughout the year.
All right, another win for me at number two. This is a little local tournament we've had here at Farmington Mini Golf. They've been running their tournament. This year was their 39th year, so something that's been going on for a long time. A little bit smaller than in the years past, but they changed up the format. I had one last year. I had zero expectations of winning this year because it is very hard to repeat, and I came out actually on top after a really solid second round there, and only have been the second repeat winner in their entire 39-year history. So hopefully 2021 will bring maybe a little Jordan-esque back to back to back, but that was really fun. And shout out to that course. It's actually where the Putting Penguin was founded, was on that course. It was the very first one we played and kind of sparked everything. And they've been great. And another like good business story from this year, part of it is because the weather has been pretty mild up until recently in the Northeast. They were open all the way up until last weekend, on at least on weekend. So taking advantage of the weird year that 2020 threw to them. Great job by those guys. And if you're in Connecticut or the surrounding area, it's not too far off of 84. Definitely worth a shot over there. Good old school obstacle mini golf course. So that was really cool having that opportunity to win back to back, and also something personally I've never done before. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, 2020 was I think getting to check out some old school courses for us too. Like it's kind of nice to like be in to really like dig into your local tournaments and get to know the people in the community. And yeah, like tournaments are a really nice way to find those diehards. My number two on my own list is finally learning how to mini golf. We had started out a couple putts because Robin and I love the game of mini golf and been playing, but like most people, like they just get out and hit the ball around and have fun and follow the adventures of the ball across the course. But I never, other than getting ready for Holy Moly, I never really like put any dedicated practice in. And I could kind of tell from my physical form, a couple of like comments from people that are like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" That I needed a little bit of work on my form, and so I got some lessons this year, very early, pre-pandemic, right at the tail of or the very beginning of it. I went out to California and I met up with a fellow Holy Moly competitor, actually the person that knocked me out on teed off, John Lepak, who is a golf instructor, a really fantastic person that is worth following on social media. He gives all sorts of tips. He does these flips and tips and flips on Instagram that are really fantastic. And he's been a pro golfer and has this little setup on his home residence where he gives lessons to folks with his cats. And he showed me how to putt better. And I've continued some virtual lessons with him just so that I'm doing it in a way that's both physically more comfortable, but also to get slightly better at the game. I think being on Holy Moly and getting introduced to the competitive world, I've wanted to play better. And I think I have gotten a little better, and I'll mention that in probably my next on my list. But yeah, getting my first mini golf lessons.
All right, moving on. Keeping in the tournament frame. So we've run a tournament. This was our fourth year of doing this particular tournament. It's the Matterhorn International Pro-Am. Shout outs to Autumn and her course, Matterhorn Mini Golf, over in Canton, Connecticut, that she started, I think it was 2015. And she's been allowing us to run our tournament there. Great partner with this. You could see fellow Holy Moly Season 1 competitor Randy Rice putting here on the first hole, William Tell. It's an entirely Switzerland themed course, which is really cool. It's an ultra competitive course, but really fun to play. So we get a lot of skill levels across a couple different divisions that we do. And it's a pleasure to be able to do it. It's, as Tom will talk about too, it's a lot of work doing a tournament, but as someone who's had the benefit of playing in the tournaments, and as we've talked about already, that kind of keeping that year alive, we're just happy to be able to extend that to other folks too. So it was a absolutely beautiful fall day in Connecticut when we had it. We had a new winner, Dylan, who's been kind of lingering on the edges of winning local tournaments for a few years now, and is one of the younger guys out there. So really cool to see that as well. And just, thankful for the opportunity. We're going to run it back in 2021, probably change up the format a little bit. It's a little bit of time to try to draw in some more people, but it'll be in September again. Like, we love doing it in the fall up here in New England. So that was number 3, just having that opportunity. And, it's just super enjoyable. I'm glad we could bring that to people.
And oddly enough, Pat talking about all the tournaments that had happened. This is the first year that a couple of putts actually hosted a tournament. We had done bunch of things for Mini Golf Day in May each year to kick off the season, to invite people to come out and have fun. And we did some trophies and that, but we never, I think, did a formal tournament and a big rollout. And this year we did the miniest Mini Golf Open at Lilliput in Coon Rapids, a course that I'd grown up playing and knew was really difficult and takes a while to play. And with the help of Pat and some other folks in the mini golf world, got some tips and thoughts and feedback on the format of just having a qualifying round that everybody could play, or if they wanted to play more than one, they could, and that the top 6 would go into a single round, best score wins title. And I came in second, and I actually had a wild finish where I ended up tying to play in a playoff that we did as a sudden death hole, and I lost on that one. But I got to say, trying out a new format, seeing how it works, and then getting a sudden death when we had set that in place was like the perfect scenario, and couldn't have gone any better. And frankly, we're already thinking about what dates we're going to do the miniest Mini Golf Open in 2021. So keep that on your radar and come visit us in Minnesota.
All right. And sticking with the tournament theme, talked about this a little bit earlier with Putt 18, but we had our league this year. You saw it was a 7-week league. My personal success was just finishing as the top U.S. competitor, and in the top half, I think I finished 8th overall. Man, if you ever want to see some people who know how to putt on a putting mat, check out especially Matt Ansley and Dave Gomm up at the top there. You can find some of the links at the Putt 18 Facebook site. These guys, it's a little bit different than putting on a course, because you're not putting to a cup, you're putting to a target, and man, Robin Hood type skills there for those guys. So I was super excited. I knew I had some good players from the U.S. to play with, and just a lot of pressure, I think, as in going in any tournament as somebody who's done well and has some standing in the mini golf community. You obviously want to perform and do that. And I just really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing it again there. And I just want to encourage people, if you're just interested in it, and check it out, because this is something that we can use a lot of people, and it's a practice makes perfect sort of thing. So if you're willing to put in the time, those scores will come up. And I look forward to Tom and the rest of Team USA starting to give me a run for it next time around. So that wraps up my 4 things for 2020. On to you, Tom.
I think for me we had such a huge backlog for a couple of putts of reviews, and being stuck at home probably was going to be the biggest way we were going to ever catch up. We still have like another 30 some reviews to get through from 2019 and 2020. A bunch from Myrtle Beach and a bunch from Minnesota. But we played a bunch of new ones this year, doing some day trips, getting out to some courses in outstate Minnesota around Duluth, and playing in some far-flung places that we might not have normally checked out, like Kendall Mini Golf in Cloquet, or Walsh Mini Golf and Riverside Amusement in the La Crosse area. And they were all great. And so we got through 50 reviews this year, almost, and we've got our rating system that we use for it. So check those out. But I felt really good about how many reviews we got out, and we have a few projects on the horizon that I'm looking forward to sharing out into 2021. But we've got an opportunity to work on some mini golf stuff. So all things considered, I'd say 2020 had some really great moments in mini golf for myself and for Pat, and we want to keep it going. And I'll let Pat kind of start off what we're thinking of for the future of the bigger Windmill. Or I guess I'm starting that off, aren't I? Can't even keep track of my run of show stuff. For all of you inside baseball stuff, we're trying to do this where we're making sure we're not like talking over each other like we're all trying to do on Zoom this year. But that's sort of to kick off like what we're thinking of in the future. And I think the first thing we're thinking of is probably a new name. We're going to need a bigger Windmill is a mouthful, and we're throwing around some names. I don't think we're going to reveal it yet, but we're thinking of doing that, and mixing it up, because when we first started this, it was just like, okay, the first episode of the new season of Holy Moly's next week. Let's go and just try it out. And I think we're both loving it, but a new name might serve us well.
Easier on the socials too. Yeah, so and looking specifically to what we're trying to do here, if you've watched any of our previous ones, or you go back and watch our previous ones, we like to be a little verbose. Part of it's we just love talking with our guests that we had about mini golf. But now that we're taking a look and saying, okay, do we really want to take this into 2021? I think we're going to find, put out some shorter episodes, maybe some more podcast linked type things you can digest over a lunch break a little bit easier. So we'll do that, and in doing that, we'll kind of change up what we're going to do. Obviously, there'll be some Holy Moly discussion out there. If you're interested in season 3, they're actually still casting for it, so go check out their
Do it.
So is there, but kind of keeping those a little bit brief, but also hopefully getting into a lot more other Holy Moly things. So hopefully we'll see the return of the bigger tournaments. I mean, one thing we didn't talk about is that internationally, all the major tournaments got canceled in 2020. So those should be coming back in 21, even if we had some of the stuff in the US. So hopefully there's a lot of content. Tom talked a little bit about reaching out to some of our international counterparts, and we've got no small pool there that we can pull from. So looking at some things that are outside of Holy Moly, but on the mini golf space, and then adding up some fun in that realm, maybe doing some kind of debate type things, a little bit of PTI sprinkled in there, I guess, as we're both fans, but stuff like, hey, should pool shots be allowed? Or any other
Richard Gottfried says yes.
Yeah, any other controversial things? What's your favorite material to have on the edges of a mini golf course, and debate? As we know, some of our putt friends will die on that hill that rocks are bad. So we got some things loaded up there for format changes, and then we've got some other things in terms of content changes, right?
We do, and one of the things that we're definitely going to be discussing, and is already on the docket, that's in our already well-established lane and thing that we love. Holy Moly's going to Australia this past fall. They recorded an entire season on, if you've seen the previews online, it's going to be on Channel 7 in Australia, which I don't know if it's their ABC affiliate, but it's one of their big networks. And as you can see in this photo, we've got some new holes. This one's called Foul Play. And we've already kind of been hearing about the course and what happened from news bits that we've been catching. But I think our hope is to also try to watch those episodes. So if anybody's got links or is downloading them, you can send them our way. And then ideally what we're doing is we're doing standalone episodes where we're talking with people that played down in Australia and can tell us about what their experience is like. Being fellow Holy Moly alumni, we're always excited for new people to join the family and to share their experiences like we did throughout the season. So that'll be something we're going to start off, because Holy Moly Australia kicks off on TV in February of 2021. So those are some of the things we're going to talk about. It's going to be mini golf, it's going to be Holy Moly, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to try to keep it light, and we're also going to try to keep it content that is of interest to you, whether you're someone who's deeply involved in mini golf or somebody that's just getting started. And so instead of us like telling you what you want to hear, we want to know what you want to hear. We want you to leave a comment on this post. We want you to share with us on a couple of putts, or on Putting Penguin, or on both of our social medias, or you can reach out to us via email on our websites, what things you'd like to see on the show. We ultimately want this to be relevant to people and get people excited about the world of mini golf, and to do it in a way that's short, sweet, and fun. So that's what we got lined up for 2021. 2020 wasn't a bad year, and hoping to continue to do more of it. And I'm going to sign off as Mr. T, and I'm going to throw it over to Pat for some final thoughts.
Yeah, my last thought is 2021 is the 20th anniversary of the Putting Penguin. So we've been doing mini golf for a long time. So we're hoping to do a few things to celebrate that. So if you're looking for some potentially unique mini golf gear, we'll keep that under wraps until we get it finalized. But I think we got a couple things coming out, and hopefully we'll hit up a lot of courses, be able to go back to the tournaments, and with any luck, get to meet a lot of you folks in person, whatever it may be, and that's something that I think we're both looking forward to reconnecting on that level. So that's it. I will sign off from We're Gonna Need a Bigger Windmill. It's, happy holidays to everybody. Stay safe out there, and let's celebrate 2021 in style once it gets here. And hopefully everybody takes a good first putt on January 1st. Thank you, everybody.